Hey y'all, what's up? Who saw Brad yesterday? A couple of you. Who knows a Brad out in the world? Who recognized Brad? All too well. All too well. So when I was doing, well, for those of you who didn't see Brad yesterday, what am I referencing? During the comedy keynotes, my friend Brad, AKA me, in a sweet wig, came out in character as your typical like braggy bro marketer, suck my hustle, hashtag hustle your balls off. That was Brad. And so, Brad is one of the characters. I've got a business comedy show that mixes sketch comedy and snackable, bite-sized, fun-sized business advice. And that's called Awkward Marketing. So, I just didn't want to leave you out of the joke. I didn't want you to feel like you were on the outside. I didn't want you to have any FOMO. But today we're going to be talking about how to infuse your websites and copy with humor. There's lots of information out there on how to be a funny brand, how to craft a funny brand, how to be a funny public speaker. Dave is talking about that. I think Sarah's talking about branding in general and social media. But I wanted to get really laser focused on how can you infuse humor into specifically your website so that you can get some really actionable takeaways. And when I was doing research for this, I think I'm hilarious, so that's all that I need in this world. You guys don't have to, but I feel really good about myself right now, because when I was doing research, I must have, looking at kind of recent website examples, I looked at hundreds, if not thousands of websites, and I went to my mastermind group afterwards, and I was like, I can't believe how many brands are leaving money on the table by not including even just a little bit of humor in their copy, in their website. And then I was like, oh, I just came up with the new title for this workshop. Don't leave funny on the table. I mean, come on. Is that not amazing? I'm done. That's it. That's all you need. You're welcome. No. So I'm proud of myself. I told you, I think I'm funny. So I thought that was hilarious. And I'm going to teach you to be just as hilarious as me today. No, I'm just kidding. So here's what I want to kind of start off with. This is the big idea that I want to kind of build everything I'm going to be teaching today and we're going to be working through today. And it's the idea that you don't have to have a funny brand to incorporate humor into your website, into your copy. And this extends obviously off of your website. And what I mean by that is, I'm not going to be talking today about how you can create a website like The Onion. I'm not going to be talking today about how you can create like a wacky, zany, hilarious brand. That's not the point of this. Today I really want to be talking about how you can infuse humor and why you want to infuse humor into your website and copy, even if you don't self-identify as a funny brand, even if you're not leading, and especially if you're not leading with the funny. I've spoken with a lot of you here. I know people work for hospitals, and people work for banks, and people work for big agencies, and they're not building brands that are going to be perceived on the surface as funny or hilarious, and that's okay. But there's still a place for humor in your brand, in your website, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So if you came here to learn how can I build another, Funny or Die, we're not going to be doing that. And I'm not going to be using those examples because that's not really going to be helpful to you to use a bunch of examples of humor websites. I'm going to be using a lot of examples today of B2B businesses, B2C businesses that have incorporated humor into their websites, into their copy, and use it as a way to increase conversions, to get higher user engagement, lower bounce rates, and just create more memorable brands. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. So I want you to, I don't know what I want you to do. So what are my slides? I don't know. So here is what I want to talk to you today about. Why use humor? Why use humor in your brand? Why use humor in your website? Well, I already hinted at this. One of the things that humor does is that it increases engagement. So I mean this in terms of humor is a disruptor. Andrew Tarvin talked about that a lot yesterday. He talked about how, one of the building blocks of humor is that it's something different. It disrupts the conversation. And so when somebody's on your website and they encounter something funny, something light, something friendly, something warm, something that makes them smile, it stops the scroll. Right? And it extends off the site. You're on a social media site, and what are the things that get the most traction? What are the things that get the most shares? Things that somehow include humor. right? So it increases engagement, it stops the scroll, and it gets people to see, and really, at its heart, humor really is what connects us with our humanity. Humor is one of the key ways that we relate to each other as human beings. I mean, who isn't in the grocery store, like standing there in line and like something weird happens and you're like, you know, to the lady next to you? We relate to each other on a human level with humor. And humor is a way that we, in terms of disruption, we disrupt the monotony of our days. It's how we disrupt the pain of life, right? That's why humor is healing. That's why they say laughter is the best medicine, because when we laugh, or even when we smile, endorphins get released, or dopamine, I don't know, you know, I'm not a scientist, but like dopamine happens, I don't know, it's like everything's moving around in your body. And there is a healing effect to humor. So when we incorporate humor into our brands, we are disrupting the status quo, the monotony of the day, especially if you have a B2B business, especially if you have a B2C business. You've got people who are scrolling endless, bland, brochure-style websites and reading endless, bland, boring copy, and then you come in with just a little touch of humor, and it stops the scroll, and it disrupts the monotony, and it keeps people wanting to know more and engaging more with your content. So that's one why for humor. Number two, it makes your brand more memorable. People use humor, and scientists have studied, and psychologists have studied how using humor actually helps people retain information better. So if you've ever seen like a funny little, you know, informational video, you know, teaching, or you know, you see humor in cartoons used to teach children basic concepts. This isn't just to keep our attention, but it's also because when humor is used, it helps us to remember things. And so, of course, we're all in the business of wanting to be remembered, right? We're all in the business of wanting our clients either to remember us or to help our clients and customers be more memorable to their audiences. So humor is gonna help you be more memorable, right? It's gonna make you unforgettable. I like to say, you know, because I help my clients create epic, unforgettable brands, and humor is one of the things that helps you be unforgettable, right? And finally, it promotes action. And so, what do I mean by this? As I was telling you before, in terms of stopping the scroll, humor kind of disrupting your routine, disrupting what you're used to seeing on a website, because humor and the use of humor keeps people on your websites longer, and it also gets their eyes like unglazed over. It keeps people from you know, clicking off of their brain and just kind of scrolling through your website like wah, 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 like scroll face. Humor also invites us to take action. So you see that websites that use humor, whether it's in their buttons or their headlines or their photography or their illustrations, people actually convert more on these sites. And part of it is because they feel seen, right? I talked about humor being human, humor being a disruptor. And so I like to say that, you know, using humor in your brand and your website is what makes people love your brand versus just tolerating your brand. And at the same time, it also is one of the ways that you show your customers love. Because as I said before, if humor has a healing effect, if humor disrupts the monotony of our day, or if humor gives us a respite from the pain of being alive, I mean, this is really going deep there. But if humor does all those things, when you acknowledge your user's humanness and you disrupt the monotony of bland, boring copy with just a little sprinkle, a little touch of friendliness, of warmth, of lightness, of fun, you are showing love to your customer, and you are making them feel taken care of and seen, and not just treated like a robot or like a statistic or another conversion or another person on the list, right? And so it inspires action because it makes your customers and your audience, your visitors feel seen and feel human. So imagine someone comes to your website. I mean, first of all, these stock models think you're hilarious. I think, who was the one who was giving examples yesterday of like stock models who are having the best freaking time of their lives? I mean, you can like look for a stock photo in any situation and someone is laughing. It's like somebody's funeral and they're like, ah, this is hilarious. So, now I will say this is a little bit misleading because I'm going to be talking today not about making your audiences, your visitors laugh out loud. That's really not the goal. If at the very least we can make someone smile or even do the inner smile, because you know what I'm talking about. You're like scrolling through a site, you're scrolling through Facebook, and your face says this, but you're looking at a cat video, and inside you're like, ah, You know what I'm saying? So even if you can get that inside smile going on, we're not actually shooting for this. This isn't the goal, but you know, exaggeration, that's one of the types of humor I'm going to be talking about today. But imagine somebody lands on your website, they're scrolling through, and instead of just kind of like, you know, having scroll face on, like skimming and looking for the button, they find something that speaks to them, that makes them smile, that makes them maybe even like, you know, crack a little laugh, a little titter, if you will. They're staying longer on your website, they're more likely to click, they're more likely to tell their friends about you, they're more likely to remember you after. I mean, this is the picture I want to paint. This is what humor can do for your website and your brand. But I know what you're thinking. What if I'm not funny, RKA? What if I'm not a funny person? I'm not a natural comedian. How am I going to do this? This really isn't for me. And I do want us to posit the idea, just like I was talking about being in the grocery store, that humor, friendliness, warmth, and lightness, it is actually our natural tendency. We want to laugh. We want to smile. So I'm going to be teaching you some rules about how you can incorporate humor into your websites and brands. And I'm going to tell you what, it's actually not as hard as you think. So if you consider yourself like, I'm not a funny person, I don't come up with jokes easily, first of all, I challenge that. I think every single person is funny, and we tend towards lightness, we tend towards humor. It's how we relate to each other. But the other thing I will say is, okay, so we're in these conferences all day, right? And you know how you'll go just like, you know, we went to the comedy keynotes yesterday, and there's almost like a desperation to laugh, even if it's not funny, because we want to disrupt our own monotony. We want to have that lightness. We want to have that fun. Does this make sense, what I'm saying? So your user, especially if you're B2B, especially if you're B2C, your user wants a break from the humdrum, boring, brochure-ridden copy, right? And so even if you sprinkle just a touch of lightness into your copy, they are like, thank you for this break from monotony. So it doesn't take a lot, especially in the B2B game, to be funny. And so that's the first thing that I want to talk about. Number two, other big thing that I hear all the time is, but what if people don't take my brand seriously? That's the big concern with using humor in your website, humor in your copy, is that people will take your brand less seriously. And actually, again, I'm gonna contradict that. I'm gonna suggest the exact opposite. So we know that marketing is trending more and more towards conversational marketing. And this isn't just marketing, it's business in general. Business is becoming less formal. The days of look at me. The days of business suits are coming to an end. And same way with the days of very formal, buttoned up language when it comes to our copy. The brands that dare to risk and dare to take a chance using humor, using comedy in their websites, in their copy, are the brands that say, we are on the bleeding edge of business. So when you just infuse just a touch of humor into your website, into your copy, you're sending a message to your audience that we are on the cutting edge, we are modern, we are fresh, we are here with you, we see you, as opposed to like, we're just a wacky brand, we sell, I'm not suggesting, for those of you who may work for a hospital or work for a bank, that you make your website poke fun at these serious things. That's not the point. And I'm not going to be, teaching you how to overhaul your entire website so it's like the wacky hospital. That's not what I'm talking about. Not at all. We're going to talk in one of the rules that I'm going to come into in a second here about sprinkling our websites and our copy with comedy instead of spraying it at our audience. But going back to this objection, but what if using humor means that people won't take my brand as seriously? There's a way to do it right so that you position yourself as bleeding edge, as human, as relatable, as I see you, as modern, as fresh, as innovative. And there's also a way to do it wrong, and we'll talk about that as well. The third thing that I always hear is, but what if humor distracts from my main message? And so if you go through the tips that I'm going to be sharing with you today, I'm going to help you steer clear of that pitfall. Because yes, if you spray versus sprinkle, you do run the risk of steering people away from your main messaging points. This isn't about putting the joke first and putting your message second. Okay, we always want the message to be loud and clear. We always want the calls to action to be crystal clear. We're going to talk about ways to do this well, and we're going to talk about ways to do this disastrously so that you can avoid that at all costs. So, to summarize my big introduction here, without humor, you look like every other brand on the block, right? We talked about, just humor as a disruptor, as a disruption of the monotony. So humor is something that sets you apart, and as I said, positions you and your brand as bleeding edge, as modern, as fresh as 2019, 2020, 2021. You have to work harder, right? So humor, as I said, it keeps people engaged. It helps people remember your content, right? It helps people absorb information. It helps people understand complex ideas. Without humor, you have to work harder to keep people's attention, especially if you're B2B. Who wants to be on a B2B website? I don't, right? Like, do you go to B2B websites for fun? No, unless they're using humor, right? And so humor cuts back on all of the effort that you have to put into your content, into your blogs, into your copy. Humor makes it easier and more effortless for people to stay and keep engaging with you and keep reading. And Desiree Martinez, I don't know if any of you saw her talk. She talked about video yesterday, but she's got a really fun brand. I think she's got a podcast like How to Brand Your Boring Business or something like that. And really, if you've got a boring business, humor is your answer, because you know that the clock is already against you. What is that statistic? Like, people are on your website for like 5 to 7 seconds maximum before they're deciding if they're going to bounce off, and that's a very generous number. Often it's 1 or 2 seconds. So you've got 1 or 2 seconds to capture your audience's attention. Humor is going to make it easier for you to keep them there and also to get them to engage. And of course, without humor, you're forgettable, right? Humor, as I said, it helps people retain information, helps people understand complex ideas, and it helps people remember you. And that's what we're all in the game of, right? With humor, people will spend more time on your site, they will want to interact with you, and they will remember you, right? As I said, humor makes people love your brand instead of simply tolerating it. And it makes people feel loved by your brand as well. So that is really the key. That is really the key. Have I convinced you that we want to use humor on our website and in our copy? Are you convinced? Yes! Now, okay, before I get, because this is not a super big room, before I get into some of the teachables here, this is a workshop, and I really do like to tailor what I'm talking about to who I know is in the room. So can we really quickly, this isn't like my mom was born in West Virginia type of intros, but I'd love your name, and I'd love the business that you work for, or what business, what website you're applying this information to, so that I can say, oh yeah, okay, if you're a hospital brand, this might be good for you. If you're a personal brand, this one is for you. Is that cool? Can we go around real quick and everybody say their name, their business, what website they're working on? Start with you, Boo. Christian works in sales, nothing specific. Okay, I love it. All right.
I'm Kelly. I work in B2B construction SaaS.
Okay, construction SaaS. That's serious. That's boring, right?
Our archetype is a playful hero.
Ooh, all right. So this is fun. Her archetype is a playful hero. All right, so construction SaaS could use a little bit more sass. Am I right? Okay. Specialty meat company. This is amazing. Yes. Okay, meat's funny. Meat's pretty hilarious. I can make some meat jokes right now, but my mom's in the room. I'm kidding. She's not. Okay, so.
I'm Laura. I work for an insurance company, so home and auto.
Oh, I've got some good examples for you. Yes.
But our life division, which is our subsidiary company, we actually do direct write with customers. So with the auto and the property, we don't.
Okay.
It's kind of a mix. We have independent agents that really are to sell our home auto life, but we do get calls in, and we have CSRs where we can write the life insurance direct, even if they don't go through a life agent. And life insurance, nobody wants to talk about it because it's like claiming your dog. It's kind of morbid, and you're like intimidated by it, but you just don't want to discuss it.
I know. I got life insurance last year before my daughter was born, and it was like, let's get out of here, right? So a little bit of levity. Now, of course, that's one of those touchy subjects that you have to be really careful with humor, but there still is a place for humor there. Insurance, I've got some good insurance examples. Pumped about this. We got meat companies, construction companies, insurance companies. This is awesome. Okay, how about this row here? Credit union. That's my new jingle. You can take that. It's free. What about you? All right, cool. Yeah, keep it up. Let's just keep on rolling. Okay. Oh, organizations that work with organizations. That's hilarious, right? We can do some funny things there. Okay, and long-term change, okay. But yeah, that could be boring enough that we could want to add humor to that. Law firms, they know how to have a good time. I like it.
I'm Jackie. I work for Young Living Essential Oils.
Oh. Okay. Okay, there is a place for humor in essential. Actually, there would be a place for you guys making fun of yourselves because enough people are doing it for you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's a place here. Self-deprecating humor, that's a whole in. All right, what about this row right here?
I'm Larry. I work for a church.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we do a lot of teaching the gospel. We do training of pastors and outreach on humanitarian projects.
Okay.
Education.
Awesome. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, especially because you do training, there's such a great place for humor in training because, as I said, humor helps you retain information, helps you remember stuff, so I love it. Okay?
Shelley, I work for B2B. We kind of work with a deal with the contract between the manufacturer and the architect.
Okay, brokering between the manufacturer and the architect. Okay, that's boring, right? That's boring. Let's make it fun. Let's have some fun with that. All right, what about you, boo? Okay, personal branding. Yes, very serious. I like it. I know you, but they don't know. I mean, maybe they do because her session was packed, was it not? Who was in her packed session? Yep, it was amazing. Liz, tell us about yourself. A Weber. Oh, I've got some email marketing ideas in here. Oh man, A Weber, there's some opportunities there, I gotta tell you. Hey, this guy, he's not funny at all. He's a very serious businessman.
I do technology.
Technology marketing, okay. CRMs, sexy. Yeah. All right, what about you? Okay. Okay, sweet. ACM Rush. Her hair is fun, right? There's some fun happening on her head, so I feel like we're gonna have a good time together, right? Okay, we're getting here, we're getting there.
Brian, I work for SaaS Optics. We're a B2B financial operations platform for SaaS companies.
Love it. Funny, wonderful, SaaS. Okay. Oh, engineers know how to party, guys. I'm just going to say that. Not from experience. I don't know. Oh, yes. Okay, so we got a hospital, we got mental health, and that's a place where I think a lot of people would be nervous to use humor. There is an opportunity here, and I'm excited about that. Okay, cool. Test and measurement equipment company for electronics and IT. I'm already asleep, so we've got some waking up to do. I like it. Yes. Security. Cybersecurity, physical security. Okay. Boom. Yes. All right. Hey.
Scientific and very technical.
Yes.
Sell equipment and consumables
Okay. I don't even understand that at all. So, right, so this is ripe with opportunities here.
Fix the grammar even if I don't get the signs.
I love it. Okay. There you go. You can fix the grammar even if you don't get the science. That's my tagline. That's my new tagline. All right, last two, but not least. Absolutely not least. The best.
My name's Julie. I work in electrical utility equipment. We build tension stringing equipment that puts up power lines and underground.
Electrical utility power lines. All right, I was kind of trying to come up with a power line joke, but you can't win them all. You know what I'm saying? You just got to keep on trucking. All right. What's up?
I'm Teresa, and I work for a majority Swiss-owned engineering company. We distribute and manufacture CNC grinding machines.
Grinding machines? Yes. Oh, it's grind o'clock somewhere. Am I right? That's a callback. We'll talk about callbacks. Oh my gosh, grinding machines. I didn't even know there was such a thing. This is amazing. I'm learning a lot. Okay, cool. Oh, shit. Oh, that's very interesting. That's hard to optimize for, oh my God. I want to be doing the keyword, I want to be on your SEO team. Grinding, how to grind, the grind machine. Oh my God, oh my gosh. This is amazing. So I'm thrilled to be in a room of boring businesses. This is how we do it. We are gonna rock it today. Now I'll say this, if any of you have your computers, like bring them out. As I'm going through this, we're gonna have a section where you can like kind of be auditing your own website and going through the materials and looking for opportunities to funny it up. But get your computers out, get your laptops out, and you can, or your phones or whatever, and be kind of going through your site as I'm going through some of these examples, looking for these opportunities to add the funny. So let's talk about the 3 rules that I want you to keep in mind. And I've kind of foreshadowed these already, so so it won't be a huge shocker. The first rule is focus on lightness over hilarity. So you remember those stock photo models I showed you? That's not the goal. I mean, who even goes on the onion.com and is like, ah, ha, 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 like unless. No, I was actually gonna make a mental health joke, but that's not okay because you're in the row. I was gonna be like, unless they're crazy, but no, normalize it. But yeah, so wanna focus on lightness over hilarity. As I said, really the goal is if we can even get your users to crack a smile, we have won. Right? And even that inner smile I was talking about, like you got your scroll face on, but inside you're laughing. I mean, that is really the goal here. So it's not about, turning into comedians and making hilarious jokes on your website. It really all is about lifting the mood. It's about friendliness. It's about disrupting their expectations. So you're gonna see a lot of the examples, like almost none of the examples I use are laugh out loud funny kind of stuff. That's not the goal here, right? So we want to focus on using a light touch in our copy and our graphics and our photos and our illustrations instead of making people LOL. That's not the goal. So that should take some of the pressure off. So speaking of insurance, I got an example from Lemonade. So Lemonade is a really kind of like fresh, hip, modern insurance company. They are totally disrupting. Speaking of using humor as a disruptor, Lemonade does a really good job of using humor as a disruptor to say, as part of how they're positioning themselves as, we're not your average insurance company, right? That's part of the message that Lemonade wants you to get when you're interacting with their brand. And so here's an example of lightness versus hilarity. This is on their like get a quote page or something like that. And all you see here is like a dragon like burning up a building. Okay, if you laugh out loud at this, you need like something going, you need a change in your life, right? Like something is going really wrong that you're laughing out loud about this. So this is not hilarious, but it is light, right? It is fun. There is a sense of this insurance company not taking itself too seriously, and especially because insurance companies are, most insurance websites are pretty boring. If I'm going looking for quotes online and I come to Lemonade, it's gonna stop my scroll. It's gonna get me to stay longer. I will probably be more inclined to click that big pink button at the top because Lemonade looks and acts totally different than all the other insurance companies, especially if you are in there, they're really targeting a younger demographic, kind of that millennial demographic. This is definitely speaking to that demographic visually, using illustration and a light touch here. I don't know if this is supposed to be like acts of God. Even dragons are covered by Lemonade, but this is a good example of just lightness. This is not hilarious, but it is fun, and it is a little funny. It might make you crack a smile or an inner smile, but it's not going to make you double over with laughter, right? So, okay, rule number 2. You know this one. We talked about it. Sprinkle, don't spray. So, Lee, I'm going to say this one just to you because you are the only comedian in the room other than yours truly. What I see a lot with people who are self-identified funny people, and I don't know if any of you are like the funny guy at your office or the funny person like of your friend group, right? But the big problem I see there and the big thing that I see going wrong is that sometimes people who are more kind of self-identifying as funny, as humorous, lay it on too thick with the humor in their copy, in their content. You've been to those sites where it's like somebody's a little try too hard with the jokes. It's like, you really want me to think you're funny, bro, and it's coming on a little too strong. It's like, that guy at the office who's like always up in your grill being like, hey, like whatever. So anyway, we really want to focus on sprinkling. A little goes such a long way, and I'm going to show you some examples of how you can just sprinkle a little lightness, just a little touch of friendliness, of warmth, of smile-inducing copy and illustrations and photos, and it goes such a long way, right? So we don't want to overdo it, and you don't have to overdo it. And I know Veronica personally, so I was looking at her brand stuff this morning because I was like, well, maybe I'll put her in the hot seat. I looked at a bunch of her websites. She's got a bunch of websites. She's a mogul, if you will. But Veronica is definitely not, her brand is not a funny brand. She is not trying to show up in the world as like hilarious. I mean, I'm saying this with love, girl. Am I wrong about that? Are you trying to be hilarious? Right, now what I'll say is, if I were to audit you, and I won't do that right now, I might do it later if you give me permission, but if I were to audit you, I found just nice little light touches of humor in your bio and in things like that. And it went far enough. It had its intended effect of having that kind of friendly reach across the screen. I'm relatable. You can talk to me, call me up, share with me your dreams for your project. That was the effect of that, right? And so she still has a very serious brand. I mean, she's got big companies hiring her, CEOs, executives, all these types of people. So she doesn't want to come across as like a wacky branding person. I got that locked down, girl. Okay, that's my niche, right? But there's still places in there to infuse humor, and really all you need is a light sprinkle to have that intended effect. So you want to sprinkle, don't spray. And I'm going to give you a really good example of this from Zendesk. So as we scroll down, and I'm going to play this here in a second, as we scroll down Zendesk's About page, there's a lot of serious stuff in here, right? So Zendesk does a really nice job of just sprinkling a little bit of humor into their copy without overdoing it. So they don't lead with the humor here. And they have a lot of serious stuff on the About page, but then they just have these little kind of moments that come in. And you know what? When I recorded this video, I didn't pause enough, so it's just like, stay with me when I play this. So, okay, there's this slider. Now, there's a little bit of lightness here in these photos, like, hey, we're a good time. We're we get, we're human, right? Hang out with us. Okay, we're talking about diversity inclusion, serious, copy, it's not wacky, it's not wild. Okay, here are our employees, what's up? Volunteer hours, serious. Okay, number 1 made up word, humbledent. Yes, it's confident and humble smashed together. Okay, so there's just a sprinkle of funny. And then we talk about our leaders, our management team, join us, here are all our offices. Serious, serious, serious. This is kind of y'all do logos, that's kind of light, right? Keep it going, we're in the news sometimes. This is a Zendesk, that's kind of funny actually. And then Zendesk isn't your mom's favorite spa, a breeding farm, a very chill desk company, an alternative band. So right, we have just your mom's favorite spa, I like that. I like your mom jokes a lot. That's kind of my thing since 1998. But so this is a really good example of just lightly sprinkling a little touch of humor, a little touch of lightness throughout this about page without laying it on too thick. They don't lead with the humor, and that's, I think, most of the time really important. You're not leading with a joke. You're not leading with a funny headline most of the time, but they just like lightly spread it throughout that about page, right? Just to get that little lift. So, okay, the number 3 rule is think like a human you're talking to one. So one of the best ways to create a more friendly, a more human, a more light, a more humorous user experience is simply to get rid of the formalities and talk and write your copy as if you were talking to a human being. So I'll give you an example of this. Back to lemonade. I love me some lemonade, right? This is not funny. It's not hilarious, but it is very it's very human. It's very casual, it's very relatable, it's very friendly, and it's light. So while you're getting your quote from Lemonade, it just says, 1 sec while I crunch some numbers, right? And that's light, that's human. There is a little bit of, it gives you a little bit of like a good feeling. It's not hilarious, but it is human, right? That's what you would say to your colleague at the office. You'd be like, okay, 1 sec, let me crunch some numbers. Versus, I don't even know what would be like a more formal, like quote loading or whatever you would put there that would just be dry. I mean, this is an opportunity. There's lots of opportunities on your website where you'll have just kind of blank, boring, expected copy. This is a disruptor. I do not expect to see the word like 1 sec while I crunch some numbers. It's just so human, it's so relatable, and it does feel like I'm being talked to by whoever her name is, like Liz with a great smile and like hair in her face. It really does feel like I'm getting a quote from a human. And that's so important when we're engaging with people on our websites and online, is to make it as much of a human experience as possible. Because, not only does it do what I said before about inviting engagement, getting people to click, but that's what we want them to do. I mean, there's so many ways that we can retarget people with ads and all this different stuff, but we want to get people to take action on our site. We need to treat them like a human being. And we've never had such an opportunity before now to personalize our marketing as much as possible, and this is just one of the ways to do it, is to just use conversational light language. So again, like if you are a hospital or you are a construction company or a SaaS company, it's not about being like, hey, we're the wackiest SaaSers, we have the wackiest grinding machines you'll ever see in your life. It's not about that. But it is like, you have a loading screen or a form or a button or, and I'm gonna show you a ton of examples so you can really get into the groove with this, where you use casual, friendly, light, human language. That is part of what contributes to people loosening up and even being ready to take what might be even a more funny joke. But you don't even need a funny joke when you've got language this casual, this human, this light, this engaging. Is this making sense? What I'm saying? Yes? You digging it? You're grooving it? All right. So you're going to see, as I lead you through a bunch of different examples, some different applications of humor. So I'm just going to run through those real quick. 6. Now there's different people have different, there's 7 types of humor, there's 11 types of humor, there's 14 types of humor. I don't know. These are just 6 of them, and they're not definitive, is what I'll say. Okay, I'm not a scientist, I'm an artist. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about this. Okay, so number 1, silliness and sarcasm. And this is probably what most people think about when they think about humor and how you would integrate it into your website. They think about stuff that would be like wacky and silly. You've got this 404 page with Lionel Richie that's like, hello, is it me you're looking for? And then this button right here, which I freaking love. Go home, Lionel, you're drunk, right? So this is super silly. Sarcasm can be jumped into this. I mean, if you see kind of like wacky videos and that kind of thing, that's typically what you think about when it comes to silliness and sarcasm. Silliness and sarcasm is not going to be right for a lot of your business types, but there are places, and actually I'll tell you what, because this is a spoiler for what I'm going to talk about in a minute. The 404 page, if you have a very serious company, a very serious like B2B company, or you're in like the hospital world or the insurance world, the 404 page is like the one place where you're allowed to have some fun. Right? Now, I'm not saying you have to put go home, Lionel, you're drunk on your 404 page if you're selling grinding machines, right? That's not appropriate. But, or you're selling like mental health, you're targeting mental health, clients. But the 404 page is the one place where if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And we're going to go through some good examples of that in a second. But silliness and sarcasm. Number 2, personification. So this is where you take concepts or ideas or parts of your technology and you personify them. You turn them into a character. You turn them into some sort of an animated or illustrated thing to help. And this is a really good fit if you're doing any sort of training. If you have like AI or software, I see, personification is used really well with those types of brands. Personification and creating characters or, like this is for Albers, their shoes. And so they took, instead of just telling you, here are this is what goes into our shoes, wool, bamboo, and I don't know, that looks like bacon to me, but I think it's like tree bark. What does it say over there, actually? I don't know. It doesn't say shit. Okay, but it's something. We put bacon, wool, and bamboo into our shoes, right? But it's a fun way. It's a light way for them to describe, right? This is very memorable. You're gonna probably remember these things, and you're gonna retain this information easier. But I also see personification used really well when you have to explain really kind of elaborate or complex concepts that are boring. And I see it done really well in healthcare. I'm gonna show you an example of a diabetes app in a little bit that uses personification and illustration to do that. So this is a way to be light and to add a little fun without being like, right? So personification is another one. Okay, number 3 would be exaggeration, right? So comics do this all the time. They'll tell you a story, but they'll stretch the truth and they'll make it funny by like going, and if you say like, oh man, that meeting lasted 24 hours, right? It felt like it lasted 24 hours. That's where you're using exaggeration to make a point and to make a joke. And so Wayfair does this, and it's so subtle. Talk about sprinkle, not spray. It's so subtle. You guys can see where the exaggeration is here, right? Who sees it? A zillion, right? Shop Wayfair for a zillion things home across all styles and budgets. That's it. And then the rest of this search is very serious. They're not the wacky furniture company, but it's a disruptor, right? If I see this in my search results, it's just going to stop me for a second where I'm like, it's a little smile, it's a little light moment, a little exaggeration. So that's just one good example, and it's also a really good example of sprinkle, don't spray, because it's not like this whole thing is like a hilarious search result, right? It's just that one little detail. 4 would be wordplay and puns. And puns actually have this same effect of puns make things so memorable. Puns make it so easy to retain information. So this one is kind of like a cheesy one, right? It's Hipmunk, this travel site. Don't let travel planning drive you nuts. And you're like, oh, dad joke. But dad jokes work, man. Dad jokes are memorable, right? And this is very appropriate. You've got this little chipmunk on there. And so, wordplay and puns is another way that you can do it. And you can have a little bit of fun with that and sprinkle that throughout your website. Okay, comparison. So comparison is just taking 2 different things that are very disparate and putting them side by side to make a point. Do any of you guys remember that Apple commercial where the Mac commercial where it was like, what's his name, Justin some sort of thing, or it was like this young hip guy being like, I'm a Mac, I'm fast. And then you had this old guy in like a badly fitting business suit being like, I'm a PC, I have a stain on my shirt. Does anybody remember this? Okay, so that is a perfect example of comparison and that kind of humorous device as a way of driving the point home. The reason I didn't play that video for you here is it's video marketing and it was an ad, it's not on a website. So I brought this example in from Flow. I mean, this is definitely not hilarious. Again, this is light, it's fun, it's friendly, but it's not hilarious. But it is a good example of using comparison on a website. You've got, like all of this chaos over here, and the emojis make it kind of fun. The emojis make it kind of light. You've got the little like sweat face guy, and the like, I don't know what I should be doing. And then on the other side here, you're like, wow, look at everything. It's in Flow. It's so, everything's working well, right? So this is a good example of using comparison to kind of make a point. You can do this in a really funny way, like Apple and Mac did. You can do this in a little bit more of a pared down, more serious way. But this is also a great example of using comparison to get your point, to make a big point, and to do it in a little bit of a light, fun way. And then 6, surprise! I should have put like a naked dude on there or something, so you would really be shocked. But no, that wouldn't go over well with Byron. But surprise is, going back to this idea of disrupting what people are expecting. And this is really, for most of you, there are so many places where you can surprise your users with just a moment of lightness, with just a little bit of humor where they're not expecting it. So who sees the surprise in the Albers FAQ? Right? Yeah. What is your favorite tree joke? What is your favorite sheep joke? And then they still go back to the serious. And what's your commitment to sustainability, right? So you're going through this FAQ, and there's just this little thing you didn't expect. And it still is very on brand for them, right? Because if you remember from their part, what makes up their shoes, it's like tree bark and I should have done better research, and wool from sheep and trees, right? So it's still on brand for them, but it's just this little light kind of surprise. And I'll show you a few examples in a little bit of different ways that people tuck kind of fun things into their bottom menus, or on the end of a form, or in a 404 page, just little ways that, and just like with Lemonade, the insurance example I gave you, where it was like, 1 sec, I'm gonna crunch the numbers. You don't expect that when you're getting a quote for insurance. It's a surprise, and so it's something that lightens up your mood, that adds a little bit of mirth to your user experience. And so that's the 6th kind of, humorous device that you can use as you're infusing your website and copy with humor. So let's have some fun. Let's talk about the best places to use humor on your website. So you already know where I'm going with this. This is the easiest one. And if you do nothing else after going to this workshop, you gotta have some fun with your freaking 404 page. Veronica, you're not having any fun. I went and I looked. Now, what's cool about her 404 page from a strategy perspective is a lot of people just have a 404 page that, I don't have it up here, but a lot of people just have a 404 page where it's like, it's not here, here's a search bar, but she has like her lead magnet on there. She's very strategic, so I give you points there, but you can add even just a little bit of a joke in there, girl. Seriously, because that is just like the one place where everybody should have a little bit of fun. So I'll give you some examples of some good 404 pages. And I'm sure, just like the Lionel Richie example, that was an exaggeration. Like, you're not going to use "Go home, Lionel, you're drunk" on your B2B website for your grinding machine, right? So I'm going to give you some good B2B examples of fun 404 pages here. Okay, this is definitely the most extreme one I'm going to show you. So does anybody know Ash Amberger of the Middle Finger Project? Anybody follow her? Oh my God, you're in for a treat. You're welcome. You gotta go to this website, get on her list. She is the most hilarious copywriter you will ever meet in your entire frickin' life. Everything she does is gold, and you're gonna see more and more of her website on here. So this is like my favorite 404 page ever in the universe. This page has been eaten by Alec Baldwin. You should probably get out of here stat, or keep reading and take your chances. So that's hilarious. Now, she still follows it up. She's got other stuff. She's got her Instagram feed on here. There's stuff here at the bottom that you can do. But this is just like the greatest, my favorite 404 page ever. Alec Baldwin has just like an endless appetite for pages, right? So that's the wackiest example I'm going to give you. All right. This is MailChimp. MailChimp, I will say, actually used to be a lot funnier, and they've actually toned it down, interestingly enough. I wonder what you think about that, Weber, back there. I don't know. But anyway, MailChimp isn't as wacky as they used to be, but they still kind of have kept a little bit of lightness in the brand through illustrations. So this is not hilarious, but there's certainly some lightness, like, oh, the horse has got his head in the hole. We lost this page. We searched high and low, but we couldn't find it. Couldn't find what you're looking for, blah, blah, blah. So there's a nice light example from MailChimp. So this is just really basic, because there's not much here, but Fossil 404 is the loneliest number, right? It's just not like 404 page not found. Just 404 is the loneliest number. Uh-oh, we surely know what that means. So, uh-oh, I mean, it's just like, this is not wacky. JetBrains, I don't even know what they do. I think they're anybody know? They're an agency, but they're definitely not a hilarious brand. So they just have just a little light, uh-oh on their 404 page, but it's definitely better than just 404 page not found, right? This is Mr. Green. They do like casino stuff, like games and casinos and stuff. So this is Oops. And they have their little kind of brand guy in the O. I think that's kind of fun. So that's light, right? That's fun. This is probably not what you were searching for. There haven't been any confirmed sightings of the page you were looking for, but don't worry, we believe you. Hopefully one of the links below can help you track it down. So that's a fun one from Evernote. That's fun. The rest of Evernote's site is not funny, but this page, they had a little fun, right? So you gotta have fun at least at the 404 page. Okay, dude, I gotta tell you this. When I took this screenshot, it wasn't until I had looked at it like 5 times that I was like, oh, I get it now. Poor, oh, poor. 404, right? Get that? Poor, oh, poor. And then it's the milk and it's Instacart, so they like do groceries. Yeah, I'm a little bit slow on that, on the uptake there. But now I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. Poor, oh, poor. That page doesn't exist. So that's fun, right? The milk is crying. That's just a little light touch from Instacart. Okay, now this one is interesting. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see it because it's so dark. We'll see. We'll see. But okay, so Squarespace is not funny at all. Like their brand is very serious. Like they have this very, Squarespace definitely wants you to feel like you are in the Ferrari of build your own website experiences, right? They're not being wacky, they're not being fun, like there's GoDaddy for that, right? Squarespace wants you to feel like you're in a premium website building experience, but they still have just a touch of fun on their 404 page. So let's even see, I'm gonna go back, see if we can even see it. Let's see. Okay, yeah, you can see it. Sorry, it's crashing down. And they have it in all different languages. And isn't that cool? That's a really cool animation. I don't know how they did that, dude. So that's just light, right? It's just not, there's nothing like hilarious about it, but it is kind of fun. It's fun how the letters kind of collapse down. It's a nice approach for a brand that doesn't want to be viewed as hilarious or doesn't want to take away. I've got another Squarespace example in here in a bit, but so that's another more serious but fun way to approach a 404 page. Okay, 404 pages, we get the idea, right? Go home and make your, my 404 page isn't even that great, but it says something like the page that you're looking for is having an existential crisis or something like that. So at least I threw that in there, right? So gotta go home immediately and get your 404 page funnier, right? That's your opportunity. So another good opportunity is button text. I'm gonna give you some examples of because I mean, oh my gosh, every button's like, start here, let's get started, click now. Now, there are places with your buttons that you wanna be funny and there's places that you don't wanna be funny, but let's look through some good examples of funny buttons. So, okay, we go back to MailChimp here. Again, this is not hilarious at all. But it's light, it's conversational, it's friendly. Ask away, right? Just ask away. That's how you would say it to, that's how I would say it here to you right now. I'd be like, hey, you guys have any questions? Ask away. So it's just a light touch to a button, just disrupting what you would expect from a button that would be like, click now, ask here, contact us. Like, so this is just a good example of sprinkling, not spraying, of disrupting, of surprise, of speaking to your audience like a human. Ask away. Okay, back to lemonade. I love me some lemonade, right? Let's do this. That's a fun button. It doesn't confuse you see how I went through here and actually, by the way, Lemonade is serving me so many ads now because I went to all their pages on their website and filled out their forms. I'm on their email list now. Oh my gosh. I mean, I will say they're kind of convincing me. I mean, they're pretty good. But Lemonade, I can't get away from them. But let's do this. So this sometimes with buttons where you could go wrong is if you're too creative or too fun with your button text in the wrong places, people don't actually know what to do with it, so it becomes confusing. So this is an example of where humor potentially could be distracting. But in this way, it's light, it's conversational. In my brain, whenever I see the phrase, let's do this, I think of Brad. I'm like, let's do this, grind a clock. That's what I think about it. So anywhere I see let's do this, that's the voice that comes up in my head. We all have our own associations. So let's do this. Okay, so this guy is a funny copywriter. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if you see him here next year because he wants in. But Justin at Pretty Fly Copy. And so we have some fun button text here. Poke this to get better copy, right? So that's a fun button. Just poke this to get better copy. I think I have a few more buttons in there. Fly me to the contact page, right? That's wordplay right there. Okay, so I'm typically anti-confirm shaming. Who knows what confirm shaming is? Liz does. A Weber in the house. They're fresh, they're young, they're modern. So confirm shaming, and you see right here, is where you're trying to get someone to opt in for something. So you'll be like, yes, I want to make $1 million. No, I want to die in a hole, right? Like that's, it's when you're not opting in and they like shame you for not opting in by being like, yes, I want your free thing. No, I don't love myself and my mom isn't proud of me. Like that's confirm shaming. Typically, I'm like anti-confirm shaming. But in this case, because he's doing it in a funny way, he's kind of poking fun at himself and of confirm shaming itself. I'm going to let him pass. Yes, I want lovable copy that protects little tree bears. No, crush the koalas, right? That's kind of fun. Okay, so this is a fun example. Duluth Trading Company, they're kind of known for having fun, funny copy. Underwear worth oversharing, but here is the button copy. Learn way too much. Learn way too much, right? I think buttons are a really cool place to just have a little bit of fun and disrupt without necessarily, because if you're designing, if your user experience makes it obvious that this is the action you want them to take, you can play around with what's in the copy. People know you want them to click, all right? So you can have a little bit of fun with what you're saying inside that button. Laura Belgrade, Talking Shrimp, anybody follow her? She's, oh my gosh, you're all missing out on this. This is like, she is hilarious, and probably her and Ash Amberger, the one I was talking about before, are the only emails I delight in opening, and I know I'm getting marketed to, and I delight in opening their emails. And if you want a crash course on how to write funnier, Laura Belgrade is a really good person to follow because she's a storyteller, she's a comedian, she brings humor into her copy, and she sells a ton of shit, you know what I'm saying? So we just have on here, get the 5 secrets to non-sucky copy. Right? Just some light copy there. And you see up at the top, copy that's always fresh, not frozen. Copywriting jumbo style. Look at that wordplay. Look at those puns. Look at this shrimp. I mean, it's hilarious. Talking Shrimp, come on. So get the 5 secrets to non-sucky copy. That's a surprise. That's disrupting. You're not expecting to see that, right? And then I just love this little guy over here. You want it? I mean, come on, that is funny. See, that actually got me to laugh out loud. I love that little shrimp saying, you want it. So that's kind of like a button add-on there. So tell me more, and then you got the little, you want it shrimp. Who doesn't love that little shrimp? Okay, here's back to Ash Amberger. Here's the button at the end of her form. Send with the speed of a pack of wolves, right? Just adding, and that's a little bit of exaggeration, kind of comparison. I don't know. It's a lot of things all wrapped up in one. Oh my God, I mean, look at this whole form. I'm bringing this form back, actually, in the form section of this, but there's a whole thing going on here with this hilarious form. But I want to focus on the button right now. Okay, so we got buttons, we got 404 pages. Now let's talk about headlines. Just adding a little bit of lightness and humor to our headlines. So Nerd Fitness is a fitness company that appeals to people who aren't self-identified fitness people, similar to Planet Fitness in that way, if you know them and their branding. So they don't want to appeal to people who are like, in the gym, 7 days a week. Brad is definitely in the gym a lot, right? Like that, he lives in the gym. He wants Nerd Fitness wants to appeal to people who don't normally feel comfortable in a gym setting, and also people who might be self-identified nerds, and will lovingly embrace that term, like Drew Tarvin did yesterday, right? Like you can hear the nerd in his voice, and he's like, guilty as charged, right? So we help nerds, misfits, and mutants lose weight, get strong, and get healthy permanently. And then they augment this with like this wacky picture. So definitely this is a wacky brand. But they've just added a little bit of humor, a little bit of lightness into that headline right there, which is part of definitely their brand. They want to make their audience feel comfortable going to the gym. And take down, because I'm definitely not a gym person. I grew up in like a workout at home family. My mom has a lot of Jane Fonda VHSs in the basement. Like I grew up with Billy Blanks, seriously. So I would probably be attracted to this because I feel like this branding is telling me, and this messaging is telling me like, this is a gym where you don't have to feel self-conscious, right? So we're back to Albers. Mother Nature made us do it, right? So that's just a little bit of a light touch with the headline there. It's not hilarious, but it is light. It is kind of fun. Okay, so this is a good example from Fossil. Fossil has just some little nuggets sprinkled throughout their site in places that you wouldn't expect. And this is another example of it's not hilarious, but it is light, it is casual, it is human, and they understand that this is the language of their people, vacay or staycay. So it's just a little light, just a little bit of light language. And then they also have another one, a little bit of wordplay, a little pun down here. Fossil wants to know what makes you tick, right? And it's so subtle. This is a good example of a brand that is a serious brand. They are, everything else about the visuals here and the photography that they use and the rest of their copy is serious, but they just sprinkle just a touch of these light moments, and that disrupts your scroll, and it makes you have this, and Fossil does have a history of they've created kind of fun watches that just, that are, they have their like colorful watch series and stuff. So they definitely, it is part of their brand experience to have a little bit of fun, but they also want you to spend money with them. And they certainly aren't trying to be the wacky watch company, right? So they just do a little bit of sprinkling here. Who needs luck? We have facts. Again, it's just very light. Just light, human. What the wool? Albers, they're good. They are definitely a personality-driven brand. What the wool? That's a fun headline. And then, it's definitely not distracting you. So the thing about this headline that's so good is that it's focusing you in on what they want you to be learning here and focusing on. They want you to be focusing on, here is this is one of our main ingredients, and this is how we source it. And so they've made telling you about, and I keep saying ingredients. What am I trying to say? What is the word for ingredients in clothes? Materials. Thank you. You work with engineers? Is that your thing? Yeah. So she knows the big words. Materials. All right. Materials. So they want you to, this is typically very boring. Who wants to read about like the deep details of the wool in their own shoes? But they've made it fun. They've stopped your scroll. They've made what you want to stay longer. They got this adorable sheep over here. Is that what they say? Like a buck or something? Some sort of, I don't know. I'm not a biologist. A ram. Look at this. She's got all the answers. You want to come on the road with me? I'm sorry. I don't know. It was a late night. Okay. I'm so sad that Liz is out of the room right now because this is going to be my example for one of my examples for her. But we make email marketing easier, faster, and funner. Right? So that's not a word, I don't think. I don't think funner is a word. You might know if it's a word. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So easier, faster, and funner. And what's interesting about Constant Contact? So Constant Contact, I'm not even going to say it. What do all of you think of when you think of Constant Contact? Blank face, because it's boring as hell, because that's what I think of. I think, since I'm a web designer and I help people, set up their websites and integrate it with their email marketing, I will say that Constant Contact is definitely one of my least favorite email marketing platforms to use. It's difficult to use. It's old-fashioned. It's, behind the times. And so Constant Contact has been working really hard to change my perception of it. And one of the ways they've been doing that is with humor. So they've got a bunch of ads right now they're running that are like funny email marketing ads. And so you can see that this is part of how Constant Contact is rebranding itself. And if Liz from AWeber were here, I would say this is an opportunity for them as well, because AWeber is also considered and perceived by its customers as being one of the more buttoned up, traditional, a little bit behind the times email marketing platforms. It's not as sexy and as sizzling and cutting edge as ConvertKit or Drip. And so Constant Contact is doing this now, change our perception of the brand and to say to us, we are fresh, we are modern, we are bleeding edge, and we like to have a little bit of fun. See that? Ebates, get your big fat check or PayPal payment. They're not just saying we'll give you money back, we'll give you a rebate on what you buy. Get your big fat check. It's just a little sprinkle. I can literally hear the song in my head. Let's get physical, physical, right? You didn't have to do any more than just that one headline to add a little bit of lightness to this hero image on Moo. Let's get physical. All the physical objects you can order from Moo. Ridiculously productive, right? That's a surprise. That's a disruption. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration. Okay, Shift definitely is trying to be a disruptor brand, right? They're a rebel brand. Good shit for Gmail. Good shit for Gmail. So you can probably imagine who is there. I'm probably their ideal client, right? Identify with that. I like that kind of language. My mom's like, your mouth, I'm gonna wash your mouth out with soap. Proposals suck. Proposify makes them suck less. That's human, it's a disruptor, It's fun, it's light. Proposify targets designers, they target developers, they target people, and we are looking at a lot of dry, boring marketing copy all day. This is a disruptor. Become a friend with benefits, TGI Fridays, right? The rest of their site is not funny at all, but this little headline just says, just with a light touch, says, we like to have a good time at TGI Fridays, right? Get a crap ton of eyeballs with ads that brand and sell. Get a crap ton of eyeballs. Now the Harmon brothers, they are definitely want to be known as a funny brand. So there's a little bit more. You wouldn't say get a crap ton of eyeballs if you were selling grinding machines, but if you are, a video production agency that is known for funny ads, then you can say get a crap ton of eyeballs. Roger and Chris, this is home furnishings. Don't you wish your sofa was hot like me? Don't you wish your sofa? So this is interesting because they sell high-end furniture, and you're going to go to a ton of high-end furniture websites that are just dry leather. I know the word now is materials in this case, right? Leather, silk, microfiber, right? It's just you see all of the stuff. It's boring. You're zooming out, and then you get to Roger and Chris. And you stop your scroll, and you might even crack a smile. Don't you wish your sofa was hot like me? Duluth Trading Company, back to them. Pants wedding situation. Get Duluth Flex, dry on the fly, work pants, right? Okay, so headlines, you can have a little bit of fun. Doesn't need to be wild. You saw some good examples of some light touches, and you saw some a little bit more fun. Okay, the About page. This is another place where I would say most businesses can have some fun on their About page. Now, if you are a B2B company, if you're an insurance company, if you're a hospital, if you're selling construction equipment, engineering solutions, you're definitely not going to lead with the funny. But tucked away, lightly tucked away towards the bottom, as people get to the end, there are definitely opportunities to have a little bit of humor in your About page, and I'll give you some good examples. So we've got Dubsado here. And we've got, these kind of just these like light, fun little intros to their team. Cameron's knowledge of Dubsado is deep. So are his squats and deep pizza dish preference. What? He likes deep dish pizza. People say that the ideal man is tall, dark, and handsome. 2 out of 3 isn't bad for Paolo, right? So these are just kind of fun, light. They've got a whole page like about their company. They talk about their mission statement. They talk about all that kind of like boring stuff. But then they have a little bit of fun on the About page. So please meet the team. I don't even know what's funny about this. Oh yeah, they help you get shit done. So it's just like a light touch right there. It's just a little like you might even miss it. The get shit done on the About page here. Okay, this is Nerd Fitness again, and they just have this funny picture of them at their like Nerd Fitness conference where everyone's dressed up as like Mario and Luigi. That's kind of funny. So this is an interesting approach from Jellyvision. Jellyvision, you can search through their team by all these funny keywords. Like I can search through their team like using the keyword corn. That's what I use, and I found like their team members that have corn. So that's a disruptor. That's silly. That's surprising. Unexpected, and it's just an interesting way to present your team. Because the truth is, especially for a company like Jellyvision, they do training for HR. They do HR trainings for companies, and the way that they've kind of set themselves apart is they use humor, they use illustrations, they make kind of funny trainings, making like the HR training process a little bit more light because it can be pretty dry and boring. And so, whoever goes to the team page on a B2B website like this and like really wants to dive in and learn everything about your team. So they've just disrupted that and had a little bit of fun with this. You're probably likely to, at least out of curiosity, click one of these search terms to find out what the heck does corn have to do with your team. And then, here's an example of one of their team members' bios as narrated by the great David Attenborough, right? And then you have this kind of funny, she says down here, always make your presence known, approach slowly, and soothe her by whispering, "Da bears." Like, I don't even know. She's having a lot of fun. Oh, there's the corn. Her species evolved in the cornfields of central Illinois. There's the corn. That's how I found Mandy. I clicked on corn. So now you don't have to go this wacky. Obviously, this is a company that uses humor as part of how it differentiates itself in the market. But I wanted to give you a fun little example here. This is back to Roger and Chris. They're the Hot Like Me sofa people. We design, create. Thank you so much for reading about us. You must be very bored at work, right? They see you. They know what's going on, right? So they're just having a little bit of fun with that about page. About pages can be really dry and boring. This is an opportunity to just loosen it up. So for Duolingo, they're a good example of an about page that you go through all the boring stuff at the top, right? You're like, here's our mission statement, here's our team, this is what we're about. And then they have kind of different ways of disrupting and making and displaying some information about their team that you wouldn't expect. We take playtime seriously, 120 game nights, 3,000 foosball matches, 600 pool games. So this is just like a fun, light way. And that's another example from them. Our hours are flexible. 40% morning larks versus 60% night owls. I mean, they're giving you a fun, light experience on this about page where you're normally used to just seeing a bunch of like, our team was trained in this, and we have got this many guys with glasses, and, you know. Fossil, back to Fossil. They always tuck it in there. So we've got, you know, here's what we make. This amount of accessories, leathers, jewelry, watches, awkward jokes, and then there's this little tiny little thing at the end. Count on it, right? So they just tucked that one in there, sprinkled that in there. Now, what I like about Hipmunk's page, I mean, they brought that drive you nuts thing back. They're really hitting that hard. But what I think about is fun about this, they just have this little guy floating across the screen. It's just fun. Oh, and then they do this. Wait, watch. When you hover over their team biopics, they're wearing their little Hipmunk. It's kind of awkward, but it's you have these like stuffy people like Dan in the engineering department wearing a Hipmunk hoodie. So it's just a little bit of a light touch on the about page. Now this one is cool. So Lateral is an agency. Their website is definitely not funny at all, but they've done something really inventive with their about page. This is a disruptor, and it is not what you're expecting. So hold on, you'll see. It's like so crazy. Look at it. Everywhere I move my cursor, they're like looking all around like the Brady Bunch. Isn't that? So that is funny. That is funny. It's surprising. It's crazy. Look at it. I had a lot of fun. I did this for hours. I mean, it's not even that it changes a little bit. They're all looking all ways. I can't even handle this. How did they engineer? Speaking of engineer, oh my, how did they develop that? So the rest of the page and the rest of the information on there is not funny, but that whole thing is I mean, like, you're going to spend 2 hours on their about page. Okay, another great place to add a little bit of humor is in your forms, whether it is a contact form, a subscription and opt-in form. And so here's an example, and I'll tell you what, when I play this is a video, it goes really fast, so I'm going to kind of give you a little spoiler in advance here, but Mike Ganino, he's a storytelling coach. His copy on his website is not particularly funny, but there is definitely a light touch to it. Look at that face. He's my boo, he's my friend. He's not my boo-boo, he's like my boo-boo. Like, you get it, right? He's my buddy. But anyway, look at that cute little face. But anyway, so Mike, but has just a little bit of fun in his contact form. People contact him for corporate speaking. They contact him for consulting and strategy. And you'll see what else they contact him for. So we're just going to see that he just has a nice little light touch in his form. What's your name? Instead of just like first name, where should I email you? How about a phone number? Are you looking for, and then he has all of these options, and then he says, killer wine recommendations. Because I'm like scrolling all around. But are you looking for this? He's serious, and then killer wine recommendations. And the rest of this form, what I'm kind of showing you here, and I'm going so fast, what the heck is wrong with me? But let's do this. There's that let's do this text again. Is that he's just very casual in the form, and that's also really great. It's very human, it's very light. It makes you warm up to him, it makes you feel friendly. So instead of saying just like name, and you insert your name like most forms, like what's your name? And how about an email? And when you click on the thing to say, I want to book you for an event, it's like, okay, cool. What's your business about? What city are we talking? What city is this going to be in? What about what's we thinking? So he uses this really light, casual, friendly language. which just makes the form a more pleasurable, enjoyable experience. It really invites me. And a lot of times people will go to your contact form and they'll look at the options and then they won't contact you. And this is a contact form that begs to be used, right? And even if you don't want any of the things on that contact form, you might just click the killer wine recommendations just out of curiosity, right? So this is another one, another fun one from Lateral. Again, not a super funny company, but here they have a fun form. My name is, and I would like to, they have all of these options, so I can get a quote, all right, but then I can go travel into space, right? That's like the last option on the list, and it just takes me to the SpaceX website, right? That's kind of just like a fun approach to a form. That's kind of a funny way to approach a form, right? It's just having a little bit of fun on your forms. Okay, back to Ash Amberjay. I used this example before, so now we're focusing on the form. I'm contacting you because I'd like to propose. She has all of these drop-downs. You can go to her website to see all of the funny drop-downs she has. You know, thanks Irish Jig. You can choose like a sign-off on there. So she just has a little bit of fun, or a lot of bit of fun, actually. This is a lot of fun with this contact form. This is a disruption. Now, obviously, Jib Jab, they make funny e-cards, so they are more of a funny brand. This form, they just added a little bit of fun by putting a man with a hot dog costume at the bottom, right? Similar to that little shrimp. Okay, here's an opt-in form for Moo. And the only thing fun and light about this is like get our weekly newsletter. So it doesn't even need to, here's what I'm talking about when it comes to sprinkling your website and your copy with just a little bit of lightness, a little bit of humor. I'm not saying you have to make big jokes. Even just finding little opportunities, like with Moo cards, Moo's letter, just little opportunities for a play on words, for a little bit of a pun, for a little bit of a light touch, for a button that says, let's do this, instead of click now. That is really all you need, especially if you are a more serious business, to warm up your site, to make it feel human, to have that like inner smile that, you know, to disrupt what people are looking at all these websites, click here, click here, click here, and then you say ask away. Or you say, let's do this, right? This is another form, you know, opt-in form. Harmon Brothers, they're like, sign up for blah, 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 blah. And of course, the occasional poop joke. Has anyone seen the Harmon Brothers? They do it, the ad for, God, I don't even know. Never mind, I'll get back to it. It's like a unicorn pooping, you know, a squatty potty. It's a squatty potty. They do the squatty potty ad, and to illustrate the squatty potty, they have like this unicorn that's like pooping out rainbows. Yeah, you've seen it? Yeah, anyway, that's why they have the poop joke on there. It is on brand to say poop joke there. And again, we've got Roger and Chris. This is the furniture company, and you can see this is another light touch. This is another subtle thing they've just tucked in here. Sign up for our very occasional newsletter featuring news, design ideas, semi-literate ramblings, specials, tips and tricks, giveaways, and other things that you will, gosh, we hope, enjoy. So they've just tucked in a little bit of lightness there. This blog is for closers only. Sign up to get a new post every week. We pinky swear we'll never spam you. Right? So see, we got a little laugh out loud there. That was good, Proposify. You really did your job there. So that's just, you know, another example of opt-in forms. Really, even if your opt-in is a serious thing, like let's say you're trying to get people a white paper, they're opting in for, you know, a video series or something serious, because the market is so, everybody and their dog has a lead magnet these days, right? It is no longer a novelty. It is no longer special if you're giving away your, definitely, I'll tell you this is just as an aside, nobody wants your newsletter, that's for damn sure, right? So this, if you're not having a little bit of lightness in your newsletter, your opt-in form, your lead magnet subscribe, you're missing an opportunity. This is how you get your thing clicked on. This is how you convert leads, is by having a little bit of fun with it. It's just a little bit of lightness, even if it's just in the button for the opt-in, because people are sick of seeing them. I like to say, when it comes to lead magnets and getting people on your list and all the email marketing, when somebody gives you their name and their email in exchange for like your white paper, your PDF, your downloadable, your newsletter, which nobody cares about, this is your first sale, because they are giving you something of value to them in exchange for something that you're saying is going to be valuable, right? They're giving you their name and their email. That is a form of currency. So this is your opportunity to, this is your first sale. And so a lot of people miss this opportunity to really deliver an amazing customer experience. They just be like, and then they send a follow-up email that's like, thank you for subscribing, stay tuned for more news. Like, no! You've just trained me to never open your email ever again, to expect to be underwhelmed by your email. So I really do feel like the opt-in form from right here all the way through into the email, into the subscription confirmation is an opportunity. And humor is one big way to disrupt, because we're so used to being seeing that, please confirm your subscription. Boring, boring, boring. And I'll confirm my subscription, and then I'll never open anything you send me ever again. So this is your first sale. And if you think about it like that, if I've just given you something of value, my email address, and you followed up with a thank you for subscribing email, why would I ever give you anything more of value? Why would I ever give you my money? You're going to have to work a lot harder to convince me to give me my money eventually. So this is just a good example of, from start to finish, you can give people a really fun experience that makes it more memorable, makes it more likely that they'll actually open the emails you're about to send them. And look at that. That's a nice little follow-up. I mean, hey, that's a good experience. Thanks for setting it up. Not to brag or anything, but your inbox is about to get infinitely more interesting, right? This is not crazy. This is not wild, but it is just, we've got this guy kind of pointing at you. It's fun. It's light. It's a disruptor from your standard confirmation, or that little message that comes up thank you for subscribing. You'll be notified soon. What? Missed opportunity. Okay, so this is back to Ash Amberjay. She's hilarious. She's amazing. She says, join the Middle Finger Project Mafia, over 75,000 disobedient humans strong, and as a welcome gift, which I promise won't be a thug named Vinny, I'll send you a top secret discount code for our best-selling courses, kits, and workshops, because solidarity. It's a free, and you'll also get new posts every week, plus at least one GIF of Betty White for the win. That's fun. She's having a little bit of fun with that. Now, I think I take you all the way through with her. Okay, so here we go. Done deal, Hellcat. Now you're in. Now go, go, go. Find the email in your inbox. This is a fun way. Now again, if you're B2B, you don't have to get this wild. But certainly if you actually want people to go to their inboxes, you need to get them to actually read what you have on the page, and humor is a way to do it. So having a light thank you page, having a light follow-up, having a little bit of fun in the thank you screen after somebody subscribes is one way to get them to actually freaking read the text and go to their inbox and make sure that you're not in their spam folder, And then, okay, so I'm just showing you all the way through how she does this. This is the confirmation email. Luke, I am your father. Just kidding. I'm your daddy. Open up. It's the Middle Finger Project in the house. Now, again, I'm not expecting that the grinding machine website is going to have who's your daddy or I'm your daddy in your email subscription confirmation, but it's just an example of how humor has made, I just signed up for, now I was already on her list, actually. I didn't even know that she did. I re-signed up for her list, and then I texted her. I'm like, this is hilarious. I love it. Oh, I'm going to read your emails twice now. But it's just an example of, if you have just signed up for her emails for the first time, she has already delighted you, and you haven't even gotten any of her emails yet, right? She's already set you up to want to open every email she sends you after this. She's already given you a great customer experience. You are going to remember her name now, right? She's lubricated the future sales so much. It doesn't have to be this extreme, but it's just such a great example of making this experience memorable, making it sticky, making it surprising, making it disruptive, making it silly, all these things, and how that, you can see I'm her fan for life, right? This is that funny copywriting guy again. So he just has a little bit of fun with this. Gimme sign-offs. So he's got 93 sign-offs to punch up your emails, and there's a little fun button there, updated regularly for maximum hilarity. He's having some fun with this. And then I just like his little, I really hate these messages that come up, please send me to it. If you're not sending people to a thank you page when they opt in, that's a missed opportunity. Send them to a thank you page. Don't let them just get this little confirmation. But if you are going to let them get this confirmation, then say beep boop in it. Beep boop. I sent this to my sister who's in college, who thinks that beep boop's robot jokes are hilarious, and she thought it was hilarious. She was like, that's hilarious. And she's not a copywriter. She doesn't care about that stuff. But she was like, beep boop. That's just a nice little disruptor. And even, now here is another thing that a lot of people leave on the table. They're leaving funny on the table. Don't leave funny on the table. Is an opportunity to have some lightness in the unsubscribe. A lot of people are pissed off you're unsubscribing. I mean, listen, I do sometimes like look at my unsubscribes and cry. I'm not above it, all right? But this is an opportunity that even when someone is unsubscribing from your emails, you can give them a delightful, light, fun experience so that you go out with a bang, right? So I want to give your inbox a break. We get it. All those chiming email notifications can grate on your nerves. So they've just given you a little bit of a light touch in the unsubscribe. That's such a great way that even if someone, because there's lots of reasons that people unsubscribe for your emails, and it may not be because they don't want to buy from you, really maybe because their inbox is cluttered. So don't, this is a missed opportunity if you're not doing something like this to have a light touch in your email unsubscribes. Okay, this is Ash again, back in here, I love her. See, the sorting hat has spoken, you have been unsubscribed. And she says, one more thing before you go. What's the scoop on why you're waving a tearful goodbye from the top of your convertible as the parade travels down Main Street? Oh my gosh! She's delighting me even as I tell her to get the heck out of my inbox, right? And maybe, just maybe, she's convinced me to actually not go because she's given me a delightful light experience. Okay, have a little bit of fun in your, what's the time today? What the heck time is it? It's 11:30. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's speed through. We're almost done. And then we're gonna get some time for you guys to kind of go through your own websites. Blog titles and content. Okay, this is Ash again. She goes wild with her blog titles. Obviously, you're not gonna put jizzle pants on your grinding machine website. But I love this grinding machine example. I'm gonna use this for the rest of my life. I once attended a workshop with a woman who helps sells grinding machines. That is the greatest thing in the universe. But I will say this. So here's a good example from Instacart. This is not wild like Ash. You don't need to be wild like Ash, but they do just have a little touch of fun in their blog titles, right? Kale yeah! Instacart is available throughout India for the first time ever. Kale yeah! Right? Cheers! Instacart expands alcohol delivery, right? How deep is your love? So these aren't hilarious, wild blog titles, but they do just have a little bit of a light touch to them, having a little bit of fun. Kale, yeah, making a kale joke. Who doesn't love a good kale joke? Trader Joe's does this with some illustrations. So you can see as I scroll through their kind of like product stories section. I have all these kind of wacky illustrations. So like the blogs themselves are pretty straightforward and serious, but they have a little bit of fun. And this is actually, I'll show you with the diabetes company here in a second. I'm going to speed through this. This is actually, let's just go on. This is MailChimp, or wait, the heck I have? Well, I have other examples in a little bit, so just stay with me here, folks. But what I was going to say, and I'm going to show you this in the examples that I have coming up, if you've got a more serious B2B company, and we have some examples here in the illustration section, having either a fun blog title or even just more light images that use maybe animations or cartoons is a way to add lightness and humor without distracting from the main kind of serious points you want to be making in your content and blog posts. Product descriptions, I mean, we got Fossil here again with their little tiny light sprinkles of fun. These are pretty cool too, right? And then with Moo, just this little light touch of humor in here, touchy-feely finishes. There's a lot of ways they could have described the finishes on their business cards, but they talked about them as touchy-feely, right? And that's just a little bit of light touch there. Now, Duluth Trading Company kind of goes all the way. Chafe-free construction sets your spirit story, and then it just goes through all these funny chafing jokes. And kind of, so this is, whoever reads the full description of products on websites? They have made it so you want to read every feature. It's not just that they're being funny for the sake of it. They're doing it because they know that this is one of the only ways they're going to get you to read every freaking feature, is to add a little bit of a light touch. So you're having fun reading, just like with Albers and their personified materials. I got that word now, right? Who cares about the material? I mean, some people do care, but a lot of people are just going to their eyes glaze over when you get to that part. This is a way to get people to keep reading your boring copies, to add a little bit of lightness. So illustration, do you have those shoes? Is that what you were saying, or? Oh yeah, they're Duluth Trading Company is funny for all, genders, sexes, all these things. So Albers, so illustration, and I'm gonna say for a lot of you companies that have more serious B2B contexts for your websites, illustration is one of the ways that you can add a light touch to your site and a light without distracting from the serious copy. And I'm gonna show you a few examples in here. Illustrations really lighten up and add a little bit of humor while the written content stays serious. Okay, so with Albers, you're gonna see that as I scroll down this page, the illustrations, like there's a little hand that's gonna pop up, just essentially just basically give you this light feeling without distracting from a little bit more of the serious copy in the middle. So you can see, oh look, there's the sheep across the screen, and there's the birds, and that little hand just came up, and oh, the shoe is getting filled up. So that is just an example of how illustrations lighten up a website experience and make you feel like you're interacting with a friendly, human, fun brand. MailChimp, watch this. These are very combining abandoned cart messaging and product recommendations. Wah, wah. That's pretty boring, right? But then when I land on this, look at that little guy up there. Look at that little shopping cart filling up with stuff. No, he's happy. So that's fun, right? It's just adding a little bit of humor, but it's a serious blog, but the illustration adds a little bit of humor to it. So you're not distracting from MailChimp, I will tell you what, my theory on why they've become less funny of a brand is now they're transitioning. They don't want to be known as just email marketing software anymore. They want to be seen as more of a CRM. They want to be seen as an integrated marketing solution. So they've taken a lot of humor out of their brand. One of the ways they've just kept it consistent with who they used to be is through these illustrations. They used to be a lot wackier, and now they're a lot more serious, but the illustrations keep them having that light touch. That's Albers, stay in touch. Not much to this, but it's just a little bit of a light feeling. Okay, Lemonade again. On their team page, they have these funny little illustrations for their each team member. View recipe, and they position, their hiring statements in this fun way. Okay, here's the example of the diabetes software. So with the diabetes app, this is a serious, people managing their diabetes, this is not something to laugh about. Number one, this is a good example of personification, right? They've taken their app and turned it into like a little friendly guy, and they're using these illustrations of like the blood and the guy juggling, and here's the app with the smiley face, to make it more memorable, to make their features more memorable, to kind of lower, people who are managing their diabetes, there's a lot of stress around that, there's a lot of pain around that, there's a lot of, they're looking at a lot of boring medical websites. So with My Sugar, they're just kind of disrupting that and giving you a more positive experience. Because if you're managing your diabetes, it's nice to have, we talked about humor being healing. We talked about humor raising your endorphins and your dopamine. And so this is an example of they're not distracting from how serious diabetes is, but they are lightening up the mood, right? And they do have a little bit of fun on their blogs. So, this is a serious thing, but they, you've got these little illustrations in the blog post here. Squirts happen with these little sad, funny little guys. 3 quick and easy ways to tame your hunger, and you have this kind of funny little illustration of a guy with a hamburger, drooling, and all this. So this is one of the ways that they've brought humor into the brand. They're still not distracting from the seriousness of the stuff they're talking about in their blog posts, and definitely they want to rank for SEO, so they don't want to necessarily maybe have wacky blog titles, but they're adding the illustrations to lighten the mood, to stay on brand. So this is Zendesk. It's not hilarious, but they do have some fun with kind of exaggerated illustrations in their blogs, because these are kind of boring, blog titles. Omni-channel analytics, what the metrics can show you, that's boring. But adding a little bit of illustration in there lightens it up a lot. Groupon also used to be a lot more funny. They've gotten less funny over the years. They got famous for being a funny brand, and now they're not funny at all. And the only places that you actually find any level of lightness or humor is in the illustrations in their blog. I don't really know what that's about, because I feel like Groupon actually should have stayed a funny brand, and they might be doing better, because Groupon's not doing that great. I think they might be doing better if they stayed funny. I think they got bought out by somebody, and they were like, we're not gonna, you're gonna be more serious, and that really killed Groupon, in my opinion. Just my humble opinion. So, Jellyvision, you've got some kind of and they use a lot of illustrations in their training. So if you do training videos, or you do any sort of, using illustrations to describe and illustrate more complex concepts or things that are very dry or boring, it's a really great way to lighten it up, keep people engaged with your training materials, or get people to buy your training materials. And this one's kind of funny, because HR isn't funny, and also you have to be really careful in HR, because a lot of jokes that people might make are no-nos in HR. But are flu shots covered? How about schnapps, right? It's just a little bit of a lightness here. Lemonade. This is we've got this illustration of the guy being like, holy shit. You don't know what he's saying, whatever it is to you. And insurance, as we said, isn't necessarily something you want to make light of, but this is doing it very well, because this is how people feel when their home is underwater or whatever, right? Just having a little bit of a light fun with it. An illustration is a really good way. Sometimes you can say so much illustrated than you can with words. You're not going to say, oh, okay, are you feeling like, holy shit, my house is drowning, what am I going to do? You're not going to write that, but you can say so much with this just little illustration. A good example of personification, this is an AI software, and so they use this little animated guy throughout their website and throughout their materials to kind of illustrate what their software does. They use this little friendly robot guy. And that's also really strategic, because a lot of people are I think this is a thing that listens to your, connects what happens to your meetings to the rest of your collaboration workflow. It's an app you can use that is listening and recording your meetings. A lot of people, especially older people, are resistant to AI technology. They're concerned about being listened into. They're concerned about, is my microwave listening to me? I mean, I'm concerned about that. That's weird, And so this branding choice, this little illustration, is softening up their audience, is saying by personifying their software as this little friendly robot, they're saying you can trust us. They're making you feel seen. They're having that human touch. Another illustration from Basecamp, my hair's on fire, right? You can have some fun in your photography. We have Nerd Fitness, a dog in a banana suit. T-Mobile did this. They had these woolly mammoths, explore the future of 5G. I'm going fast because I want to get to the end here. Evernote, they have some fun here with their team pics. We already saw this. I could look at it all day. And then, and this is where I would challenge you as you're going to look at your own websites and you're going to look at your own copy. There are so many opportunities to find little surprising, unexpected places to add lightness, to add humor to your website. This is on, oh gosh, what is it called? It's on some website. Well, I guess it's on, I don't remember. It's going to drive me nuts. What is this, deja vu, quasi vu? What vu is this that I'm feeling right now? But anyway, this is just tucked in. Caution, shameless plug ahead, continue reading below. So that is a funny way to approach the fact that they're presenting you with an ad. Caution, shameless plug ahead. It's just subtle, but it's a nice little light touch. Duolingo, I'm joining their software, or I'm signing up for a training, and I can either choose casual, regular, serious, or insane. Tucked in right there, unexpected place. I think the point that I really want you to get out of this is that when you're infusing your website and your copy with humor, it's not about laying it on thick. It really is about, it can be one word, it can be one button, it can be a little surprise. It really doesn't take that much to create this warm, human, light, fun experience. Again, this is the favorite. This is one of those tree jokes. How do trees access the internet? From the FAQ. They log on. Any dads in the room, take that one home tonight. Your kids will love it. Right? This is an unexpected one. Middle finger project right above the privacy policy. Right before she gets into the serious stuff, Note, talking about privacy mostly makes us want to put up our right hands and insist, please, darling, no pictures, right? That's a really fun little just way to lighten up a privacy policy. That's an unexpected place to find humor on a website, right? And it's really not going to disrupt in a negative way, because the rest of the privacy policy is very serious. So Squarespace. This is just another really, if you have a serious business, Squarespace is not a funny website at all. But they just did one little thing here, which I thought was pretty fun. Here, like, there's 6 standards that there's 6 like beliefs, or I don't even know, like 6 parts of their vision statement. Be your own customer, blah, 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 blah. Simplify, and then there's nothing else there. That's a joke. They made a little joke there. That's a surprise. That warms you up to Squarespace. That makes you say, Squarespace is smart. Uber, in there, get your side hustle on. It's casual, light language. Okay, this is back to My Sugar, that diabetes app. In their search result, we make diabetes suck less. And then they go on to talk about the serious parts of their diabetes management company. Right? We make diabetes suck less. That's it. Wayfair, we already saw that. You find this on there, like the Jellyvision hiring page is just tucked in here. I am strong, I have value, I don't sweat, I glisten. Right? One sec while I crunch some numbers. Lemonade tucked into this job description in the requirements. Can you see that fun little add-in? They're looking for someone who has 5 years experience, blah, 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 knowledge of related NoSQL databases, loves getting shit done, right? And that's, if you have a company culture that is a little bit more fun, that is a little bit more light, you just tuck in some fun into your job description. Roger and Chris, it's tucked in here. Sturdy, comfortable, and elegant furniture. Yay! One word, that's all it takes. One word, one yay. And I'm having a different relationship with this furniture company on their website. Yay! I already went through that. This one is super tucked in. This is SurveyMonkey. It's super tucked in. Can anyone find the little light sprinkle of fun at the bottom of this website? Anyone find it? Yell it out. 3 form no-nos, right? It's just a little light sprinkle. It's a little surprise. A little surprise at the bottom of SurveyMonkey. The rest of the website is not very fun. Can we be, this is at Parabo Press, can we be best friends at the bottom of the About page? Can we be best friends? Okay, let's talk about, before we wrap this up and let you think about all of the ways that you can infuse your websites and your copy with humor, fun, lightness, humanness, the worst places to use humor on your website, all right? Serious error messages. Okay, so Medium had a problem with this a couple years ago, where Medium, if you had written a whole blog post on Medium and then you pressed submit and your server disconnected or something, it would be like, uh-oh, your blog post is lost forever. And people got pissed. This was not the place for an uh-oh. All right? So if somebody is doing anything serious, anything that requires a lot of time, or anything that an error message can potentially really upset the customer or the user in any way, this is not the place for humor. Different than a 404. A 404 is acceptable use, but a serious error message, like if I just spent 30 minutes filling out your form on your insurance website and then it doesn't go through, don't say uh-oh, right? So here's an example as well. I'm trying to put in my password. This is not a place for humor. Who's ever tried to put in their password and it doesn't work, and you're like, ah, so many passwords. This is actually not the place to be like, LOL, password problems, right? Like, no. This is definitely not the place. You just want to be as clear and straightforward as possible. Stay out of their way when it comes to things like that. Error messages, not a place to have any fun. Sorry, guys. Okay, confirm shaming. We talked about this, right? Okay, look at this for Ask Men. You want to sign up, dating with Tinder, score a date. No thanks, I enjoy being alone. Now, first of all, one of the worst uses of humor on your website is if you're making fun of your audience. You do not want to make fun of your audience. So, that's the kind of humor that nobody can get down with, right? You don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. This is borderline making fun of your audience. You loser. No thanks, I enjoy being alone. No. We're not going to make fun of our audience. Confirmed shaming is a big no-no unless you're the guy with the koala joke, because I enjoyed that. Or how about this one? This is like for a healthy living. Health is hard, blah, blah, blah. Get the PDF. No thanks, I like to make bad choices. I don't know. When it comes to educating your customers about how they can live better and be more healthy, this probably might be something that they would already have a little bit of shame around, or some negative stories around, or not feeling too good, maybe being nervous about how they're, what's going on with their health. So we're not going to mock them and confirm shame them. It's really hard to do confirm shaming right. Brad, the braggy bro, loves to confirm shame. That's how he gets his leads. It's just not the place for humor, in my opinion. And in a lot of other people's opinions, too. Okay, one place, and this isn't just about humor, but it's also about, I have a lot of clients, because I build websites, as you know. I have a lot of clients that they want to get creative. They're like, I want to have fun with my menu. They're like, I want to be wacky. I want to be wild with my menu. Okay, so this is my website. This is not actually my menu. I just made a joke. So people always want to do stuff like this, like for the about page, like who, me? For the services page, like stuff I do. For the portfolio page, on mom's fridge, love notes, so, say hola. No, this is not the place. We talked about the objection you might have been having, like, will humor distract from my main point on my website? Yes, if you do it places like this. Because people go to your website and they're looking for specific pages. Sometimes we'll go to a website specifically looking for the word contact. So you don't want to use a phrase like, say hola, like bonjour, like let's get coffee. No, not the place to have fun on the website. Because I'm looking for the word contact and I don't see it, I'm out. Remember, you have a couple seconds in a lot of cases to get people and keep them there. So your menu and those kind of key areas. Now, the only place I'd recommend having fun in a menu would be at the bottom, in the footer. If it's like, those 3 no-nos and things like that, once they've already gone through the main user experience. But the menu is not the place to have fun. It's not the place, not because we don't want to have fun on our websites, because we don't want to confuse people. And if I'm looking for the word about, and I don't see the word about, I'm out, right? So we don't want to have too much fun with our menus. Also, we don't want to use humor in a place where it can confuse in our key message areas. So here is also my website, but it's not actually the copy of my website. I cry over code so you don't have to. Slinging ink on the web to help you make cash. The button says you don't have to buy me dinner first. What the hell do you even sell, girl? Right? It's funny, that's for sure. I think it is. I think I'm hilarious, right? But no, it's fun, it's light, but I've confused you. You don't know what I do. So as I said before, we're not going to use humor. We're not going to put the joke first. Message first, joke second, right? So when I first land on your website, and this is what I advise my clients, in general, aside from the humor topic, is when I look at your hero on your website, I need to know who you serve, what you do for them, what are the results you provide them, and how I can get started. My actual website copy says something like, we build websites that build businesses, branding, web design, and marketing for thought leaders and visionary entrepreneurs. Start your project. It's not the sexiest copy in the world, but it definitely answers all those questions I just said. It tells you exactly how to begin. This is not the place to have too much fun. Sorry. I do cry over code, by the way. I have actually cried literal teardrops onto my keys while typing. So, just being real, just being authentic with you guys. So to wrap this up, I just want to say, you don't want to leave funny on the table. I'll never stop being proud of myself for the title of this talk, right? I'll never stop loving that. Oh my gosh, thank God I find myself amusing. But, as we've seen today, using humor in your copy, in your messaging, in your illustrations, in your photography, it's not just humor for the sake of it. It helps people remember you. It helps people feel seen by you. It helps people have a connection with your brand. Helps people want to engage with you. It helps you explain difficult concepts, right? It helps to disrupt the monotony of all of the boring B2B websites in the universe. And so I would challenge you to go through And based on, what I like to recommend is you look at your own website. Because I mean, we're at time, right? I mean, it's over. It's time. It's time to go. Is you just want to kind of think, how can I sprinkle a little bit of humor at each stage of the user journey? So a light, a button, a headline, or a little bit of text on the home page, on the about page. Definitely that 404, you know about that. In the opt-in, in the thank you page, in the email. And I'm not saying every single thing is going to be like wacky in your face. It can be a little light touch, a turn of phrase, some wordplay, a button, some casual human language that just opens people up, makes them smile, at least in the inside, not when they have their scroll face on, warms them up to you. In some cases, you can push it a little further and actually get them to laugh. But that's really all it takes to create a brand that is unforgettable, people want to engage with, people want to convert, people want to actually opt in for your emails and open them and all that kind of stuff, and then buy your stuff, right? It's going to make you work less hard to keep their attention. So don't leave funny on the table. That's all I got. Oh, you know what else I got? Is my information. Tweet me, grab me, pin me, Instagram me, send me your information in the beak of a dove, call me, text me, whatever you want to do, but I'm around. You can see my show, awkwardmarketing.com, if you ever want some snackable business wisdom with some sketch comedy thrown in. And I mean, y'all are free to go, but I also am here for questions. I'm here for all y'all. So let's hang out.